Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 137 of Screw the Commute podcast. We got Bobbi Olson, and she's going to talk about something that I really suck at, but it's really important for your business, and that's the exciting topic of budgeting. All right, so I'll introduce her to you in a minute. Now, last episode was 136. It was one of my Monday trainings on screen capture video. Oh, man, I've been using this technique for 19 and a half years, and now it's still making me and saving me money every single day. So make sure you do not miss episode 136. Now, I got a big freebie to thank you for listening to this podcast. It's my $27 ebook, How to Automate Your Business. And it's just one of the tips in this ebook has saved me over 7 million keystrokes. And I don't know, it might be 7.5 million by now, because that was a couple years ago when we figured that out. And I also have another little special extra gift for you that I know you're going to like, because a lot of people charge thousands of bucks for something I'm giving to you. So check it out at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Screwthecommute.com/automate free. And of course, everything we mentioned today will be in our extensive show notes for episode 137. Now, our podcast app is in the iTunes store. You can go to screwthecommute.com/app. And we've got complete instructions on to use all the fancy features so you can take us with you on the road. And let's see. Hey, our sponsor this week, guess what, folks? It's me again, Tom Antion's Internet Marketing Retreat and Joint Venture Program, where myself and my staff work with you for a year to either get you started in an internet business or to use the internet to take your existing business to the next level. And I'll tell you more about that later. The details are going to be at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. Of course, they're in the show notes. But just a little bit about the background of this. I turned the internet marketing training world on its head around the year 2000. People at my level were charging $50,000 or $100,000 up front to teach what we knew to clueless business people who refused to learn it on their own. Now, I'm a small business advocate, and I knew many small businesses could never afford that kind of upfront money. So I made all the gurus mad by charging a relatively small entry fee to my program that also got a percentage of profits that was capped, so you're not stuck with me forever. So for me to get my big money, you had to make way bigger money. And plus, I'm not going to disappear on you because I won't get my money. I even took it a step further. And I have a big estate home and a TV studio where my students, as part of their year-long training, come and actually stay in my house for an immersion weekend. And that's just one of the unique features of the program. So check out the full details later at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. All right, let's get to the main event. Bobbi Olson became a budget coach thanks to a phobia of driving. I don't see how that works. What? So dealing with the Orange County metro traffic that's in California required the perfect distraction, which led to an education on budgeting through books on tape. Now, I'm going to figure this out. She's afraid of driving, so she always rode, or she was driving and learning budgeting at the same time? I don't know. We'll find out. But it really changed her life, creating a passion for budgeting. Now, I'm almost cracking up when I say that because I spoke to her on her podcast, Sensible, a while back. I just couldn't wrap my head about getting excited about budgeting. But she's a rare individual, so she's going to tell you about it. And she just loves to help other people. So, Bobbi, are you ready to screw the commute?
Let's get it on, Tom.
All right, let's get it on. I know your husband's the producer on the other end, so I'm going to be a good boy. I don't want to get in trouble.
He'll be okay.
I know these OC people will come and get me. so,
Don't
so,
worry.
uh, so tell us what you're up to with this budgeting thing. I mean, like I said, it just cracks me up because I'm the worst bean counter in the whole world. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I was too, and I made pretty much every mistake you could possibly imagine in my younger years. As a matter of fact, when Scott and I got married, he had to teach me how to balance a checkbook. I didn't even know how to do that.
Wow.
And just through the years, we had w- once he taught me how to do everything, everything was okay. We were getting by, nothing was ever late. But then, we started a business and it failed ultimately. And we had so much debt left from that business. And I had to take on a job that I absolutely hated in order, to help us make ends meet. And so through doing that, it just got to the point where, again, we were getting by, but we weren't getting ahead. We weren't getting out of debt. And I wanted to be able to get out of that job and take another job, even if it paid less. But I couldn't do that while we were still in debt. And so I finally started reading books about budgeting and learn. And the irony was that I was producing a financial radio show, so I was hearing this kind of stuff all the time. But I had been doing that since I was 20 years old and hating it, so I never listened to the content. And finally, I was just so frustrated, I started listening, and it shocked me that these were things that could actually work for somebody at any level. Because I had been listening to it for people of high net worth, and so when I discovered that it could actually work for me, get me out of debt, and get me ahead, it just became exciting and I became passionate about it. And it went from being something to just get me out of my job to something I had to share with everybody else who had felt the same way I had and just hopeless about their situation.
Well, I'll tell you, I doubt if you're alone nowadays. I mean, it's come full circle. I doubt if many of the young people can actually, take care of a checkbook.
Yeah.
Everything's on their cell phone now, and they just push a button nowadays, right?
Right, right. That's true. And there are a lot of budgeting apps now
Mm-hmm.
that will help you with that. But you really still have to have the mindset of how to do that and why it's important. That's the major thing.
So, how long did it take you to get good at this and to get out of that job you hated, that dreaded job?
I'm actually still there, but I have come to the point where I am debt free. And that was my important first step. And so once I started putting it in place, it took me a couple of years just because of the size of our debt versus our income.
Mm-hmm.
But it became exciting right away because it was just a matter of doing the math. And I actually had a date when I would be debt free. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. And so every month I actually got to the point where it was fun for me to pay those credit card bills because I knew we were one step closer to not having to pay them. And I started thinking about what came next. What should I build up next? What should I make sure that we have? How do I build my financial foundation so that we never get back to this place again? Because it can be very easy to get out of debt. But if you don't change your habits, you just go back right back in.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So what you're saying is you were at a job, or maybe you're still at a job that you just despised, but this effort that you were putting in to give yourself an out eventually made it not so difficult to go. You were having fun and getting your mind off of the hatred for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least it gave me the willingness to keep going because I knew now that it wasn't forever
Mm-hmm.
versus before I started doing it when I just felt like nothing would ever change and I'd be stuck there indefinitely.
Well, there's been some people in the past that have espoused, don't go to Starbucks and, save $3 here, $3 there. Is that what we're talking about, or is it something bigger?
Well, I mean, that's part of it. Certainly those things have to change depending on your income. I mean, it's different for everybody. But I mean, especially if you're in debt, that helps a lot because the more dollars that you can throw at that debt, the faster you can get out. And it may not seem like, as somebody who grew up with the poor mindset, it was always like, well, $10 here doesn't matter because you'll never be able to save for like a vacation or
Mm-hmm.
something grandiose. So just reward yourself with the little things that you can get. And so $10 here, $10 there didn't really seem to mean anything, but it all adds up. And so, yeah, I mean, I've heard it called the latte factor.
Right, right.
That certainly makes a huge difference. And I had already stopped doing those things, but there are a lot of people who don't want to make those changes. And, maybe their cup of coffee is the only thing that keeps them sane on any given day.
Now, did you?
And
Are you saying that that's you came up with that wrong
oh, no,
mindset?
no.
All right. So
No, the latte factor was David Bach.
no, not the latte factor. I'm saying that did you grow up with that mindset that $10 just doesn't make much difference? You might as well enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And was
Yeah.
that from your parents? How did they treat money or teach? Did they teach you anything about it?
No, just how to be afraid of it, basically.
Ah,
And so,
what does that
yeah,
mean?
that was sorry.
What does that mean? How to be
It was
afraid of it?
well, it was kind of an unspoken thing, I got from them, from my mom specifically, just that, the work ethic was strong. You go to work. You go to work no matter
Okay.
what. I don't care if, there was no balance. If somebody's getting married or whatever on your work day, you go to work. I mean, but the reason for that was because the mindset was kind of, you struggle until you die. That's just the way it is.
Hmm.
We're poor. Other people are rich. You're never going to be able to break out of that cycle. So deal with it and keep struggling. And that's really it. I mean, and so I didn't get any of this is how you manage your money, balance a checkbook, none of that. And so I was very ill prepared when I went out on my own. And I just didn't think that there was any other way.
What message would you send to parents now that you went through that?
Yeah, the message that I would send is definitely start them as early as humanly possible on the mindset that money is a tool and you can use it to make your life better. Yes, there will be sacrifices at times, but the sacrifices can be short for your long-term success, whatever that means to you. And so I would definitely say to parents, yeah, teach them the value of a dollar, and teach them how to plan for the things that they want early on. Because, we always hear about kids trying to teach, or parents trying to teach kids about the importance of saving for retirement. But, when you're 15, 20, retirement is a world away. Nobody cares about
Right.
that, right? So the things maybe that are more to think about for kids are saving for that car that you really want, or saving for your first home, or just saving for a vacation that you want to take, whatever it takes to get that mindset in place so that they never have to struggle. Save so that you have a couple months of income ahead, because then if you have a job that you hate, and let's face it, we've all at one time or another, well, maybe not you,
Yeah.
Tom, but most of us have had a job that we didn't want to go to, but we had to pay the bills. Well, if you start early enough and plan ahead, you'll never be in that situation. And I think every parent should teach their child that.
Yeah. Now, did you have jobs as a child?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my first job, I was actually 14 and I worked in cornfields. I was a
Wow.
corn detasseler in Lincoln,
A
Nebraska.
corn detasseler?
Yes. Yeah.
Detasseler.
Yes, and it's like the top of the corn stalk, and if you don't pull out the tassel, it will contaminate all the corn. So all
Uh,
us kids went out there into the cornfield, and we got muddy, and we were pulling all the tassels
well,
out.
I just, my mind had to go other places there because when I got recruited for football at college, they took me to a strip joint up
Oh,
at Penn State, and
all those tassels.
the queen of the tassel twirlers was there.
Right.
So as soon as you said you're a detasseler, I mean, oh my
Yeah.
God.
I guess it could have been
My
that.
mind went elsewhere. Never heard
Right.
corn involved in it, but so you're out in the fields basically, and then what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're out in the field and you start at basically sunrise and you go out there, and we used to wear big plastic garbage bags for our first walk through because, it was wet from the dew from the
Hmm.
night before, and just walking through the mud, pulling all the tassels. And yeah, it was a dirty job, but somebody
Jeez.
had to do it,
Yeah.
and I got paid like, $3 an hour or whatever it was, and I was glad to get it.
And then what? Then what was after that?
Well, let's see. Then I had several jobs after that. I mean, I worked as a waitress. I worked at Burger King for for
Wow.
3 years. I kind of worked all through, and I worked all through high school because I
Hmm.
went to a private school, and so I was working off my tuition. So, and like I said, I mean, in my family, you just worked. I mean, that was the one thing: work, work, work. So
Right.
I always had a job from the time I was
But
14.
they sent you to a private school. That's pretty. That's not normal for a family that struggles, right?
Yeah, no, it really isn't, and that's why I had to pay my work for my
So-
tuition. I was still working for my tuition after I graduated high school. So,
Wow, they
yeah,
usually say the college students are in debt, so now the high school students are in
right,
debt.
exactly, yeah. I graduated high school with debt, if you can believe that. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's we haven't had that on the show yet.
yeah. But
So
was told, I mean, I graduated thinking, okay, I'm not going to get a credit card because I'm smarter than everybody else, and I know that credit card can lead to debt, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that. But what I wasn't told was that you, if you don't have savings behind you, a credit card is probably a good idea for the fallbacks. And yeah, so I wasn't prepared for anything, so I got myself into all kinds of trouble.
well, so, somebody told me the other day they on their credit. Apparently, I don't know if there's a law or something. They have to tell you how long it'll take to pay off.
Yeah.
Something like they didn't have like tremendous debt, but it was said if you make the minimum payment, uh, it would be 40 years to pay off the
Yeah.
credit card.
It's just crazy. I mean, you look at that and you go, "What?" Yeah, and that's why, I mean, I completely believe in, no matter what, even if you don't have very much at all, just pay even $1 over the minimum. Anything that you can throw at that is going to make it so much better. I mean, interest just eats so much
Right,
of our
right,
money.
right. So give people some tips on this passion of yours on budgeting because every time still I can't say it with a straight face because I know how bad I am at it. But so give people some tips. They're trying to start a business or improve their business on what would be some of the biggest things you'd say with regard to getting a hold of your budget.
Yeah, and my work is with people personally, not with businesses, but I do have a few tips for entrepreneurs, especially being in business for
Hmm.
ourselves previously. The first one is not to commingle your business and personal money.
Oh,
Yeah, it can be really tempting, if you're out there and just whip out your business credit card for a personal expense, no big deal, and I'll fix it later in accounting or whatever. But it piles up sometimes, and it doesn't get, separated later on. It just becomes a convoluted mess, and it can really screw up your accounting and your
hmm.
taxes and all kinds of stuff. So it's just much easier to keep those straight, if you can. And then the second thing that I would say is that it's really important to have a personal budget next to your business budget, because if you don't, you could be much more likely to overspend on the personal side. And where's that money going to come from? The business side. Well, if you're new in business, you may not have a lot of extra to throw towards that. So if you can keep a strong personal budget, that's going to help your business out a lot in the end, especially in the growing stage. And then the third thing, and I think most important, is to uh, know how to budget on an irregular income, because there's going to be months where you make a ton of money and you could be riding high and, maybe be tempted to go out and party a little bit or have some fun, whatever. But if you do that, then your bad months could be really bad. And so a budget really helps to be able to even those out so that you can maintain through anything.
Those are all great tips. Now, are you working on some kind of online course or something for this, or what's? I thought you were looking for beta testers.
Yeah, I actually just finished my budget systems and launched the budget coaching page of my website, and so I am in a beta phase with that, and I'm looking for clients to put through my program.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. So, I mean, these podcasts have a pretty long life, so I encourage people to jump on this if they hear this quickly, because as soon as it gets perfected, she'll be charging for it. So. So how would they get in touch with you to find or sign up or read about this?
Sure, they can email me at Bobbi, that's Bobbi,
Yep.
at sensible.chat.com, and also
Spell
all the
sensible
contact.
also.
Oh, right. Sensible is Centsable.
And that's
So
also your
Bobbi at
podcast.
sensible.chat.com. Sorry?
That's also your podcast too, right?
Yeah, Sensible Chat. That's the podcast. And all the contact information is available at sensiblechat.com.
That's great. All right, so we've got to take a brief sponsor break. And when we come back, we're going to ask Bobbi what a typical day is like for her working on a business, and also how she stays motivated. So, folks, if you like the idea of an online business that sitting around like I do on my big rear end making money, that's what we teach around here, and have been doing it since the commercial internet started around 1994. And I started my mentor program. I was actually helping people around 1997, but more formally around the year 2000. So if you want somebody that's been there and done that, that's a multimillionaire, that's still down to earth and willing to talk to you and help you and put our whole staff at your beck and call, this is the right program. You can check out my it's really the longest running, most successful mentor program in this field. There's nowhere even close to all the things we give you. But you can check out the details at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. And you can also check the show notes for episode 137. Anytime I say that, it's screwthecommute.com/137. That would be this episode. All right, let's get back to our super passionate budgeting queen, Bobbi Olson. And say, Bobbi, so you're planning to get out of your job eventually, and so you're budgeting for this and getting things ready, right? So tell us how that process goes for you.
Well, it's a month by month, and what I actually have is a spending plan that is created a year out.
Wow.
Yeah, it seems like a lot, but it's really pretty easy to do. Once you have 1 month, you can pretty much do them all. But the difference is that that way I can plan for all the expenses that come up just once in a while, right? You have like a lot of us have Amazon Prime and things like that that come up once a year. And so if you don't plan for them ahead of time and you don't have a lot of money, they tend to slap you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about it. Even though it comes up every year, somehow I forgot about it. So I like to plan a year out, and that way everything is budgeted for. And that way I know how much additional I have to set aside so that I can have enough of a cushion to live on, and leave my job and pursue this full time without devastating our finances.
Right. So what's a typical day look like then for you? Because you're working and building a business. So what's a day look like for you?
Well, I go to my full-time job, which is quite a commute. So I listen to podcasts, both coming and going, like Screw the Commute.
Yeah.
And that helps me, just learn new things and take up my time. And like you mentioned in the beginning, I had a big driving phobia, and that was just I somehow developed a fear of driving, and I was so afraid on the freeway that I needed something to defer my attention.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to get my head around this. I know LA traffic. All right, I've spent a lot of time driving in LA traffic, and so you were actually driving and you decided that it would be safer for you to be distracted than to be
Yeah.
I thought maybe you made your husband drive you places.
No, I actually had a partner for about 4 years, or not. What do you call it? I had a carpool partner for about 4 years, but then our schedules changed and that was no longer available to me. And so I started having to drive myself,
Oh.
which was just hugely, I just had these anxiety attacks.
Well, anybody with a half a brain would have an anxiety attack driving out there. I mean, that's nothing strange for there, but to get distracted even further is what's cracking me up.
Right, exactly. But I was so in my head about everybody coming into my lane. Or
what you should have done is get one of those blindfolds you wear at nighttime, because that way you wouldn't have to worry about anything.
Right. I'm sure that would have made it easier. Yeah, but so that's how I started listening to different audiobooks and stuff, and then I podcasts. And so I really use that as my learning time. And then after my day job is complete, I come home and I have dinner with my fabulous husband. And then I get to work on whatever I need to do to build my business, whether that's creating new podcast content for the website. Of course, returning emails, and of course, helping people with their budgets as much as I
Mm-hmm.
can. And I just spend as much time as I can in that direction because I know every minute there is going to lead to less time at my job. And that's my
There you go.
goal.
Any kids involved?
No,
No kids?
no.
Okay.
Thankfully, that gives me more time.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, you're kidding.
yeah.
All right. So how do you stay motivated? If you're working all day, working all night, how do you stay motivated?
Yeah, it's about that feeling. I remember when I first started budgeting and I had this aha moment, and it was like the stress just left my body.
Mm.
But not only that, I just had this feeling of excitement that, wow, all these tools are available to me that can actually change my life in such a simple way.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable to me, and I just had this overwhelming urge to share it with other people. And so the first time I did, the first friend that I helped do the same thing, I watched her and I saw that light bulb go off in her head too, and the look on her face when she got it, and then she was excited about it, and I thought, man, that is like a drug. I can't get enough of that. It's
The
like the first
budgeting
time
drug.
yeah. I mean, you can liken it to, the comedian that gets their first genuine laugh
Mhm.
from the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an amazing feeling.
Wow.
And that's why I do it. I can't help myself. I have to do it.
All right. Now, I won't tell your boss, but what's your projection since you plan so far in advance when you'll be able to take this job and shove it?
Yeah, my projection is 1 year.
One more year.
So,
Okay.
1 more year. Yeah.
Now, what if like 1,000 people join your class?
Well, yeah, in that case, then it would be a lot less than a year, 2 months.
Okay. Oh, it'd still take you 2 months. All right. So, well, we'll try to get
I'm a
5,000
worrywart,
people.
so.
Yeah. So, well, this has been really great talking to you about a subject that's not dear to my heart at all.
Well, then I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, but that's what makes the world go around. I mean, people like you. I mean, it's so important what you have. I mean, somehow I bypassed it and was successful, but that doesn't mean I'm suggesting that to everybody. No, believe me, I believe in what you're doing 100%. I mean, I said I'm probably an oddball, got away without too much of it, but that doesn't mean it's not critically important. All the bean counting, watching the numbers, and that's one of the reasons businesses fail. They just do the part they love, and they think, oh, the money will just roll in and everything's fine. But I heard some politicians say that idea is about as popular as skim milk. And so.
Yeah, I did an interview with a guy a couple months ago, Tony Bradshaw, who wrote the book The Millionaire Choice, and he had a great analogy, and that was that for most of us, not budgeting is like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. You watch the water go in, and it just flows right back out.
Yep, that's for
So you
sure.
got to patch those holes.
All right, so I want you to promise me something.
Sure.
You'll come back and do the show again after you get out of the job.
I would love to.
'Cause I want to hear about that and see how the budgeting, how it went, if your projections are on or whatever. I hope that you're talking to me in a couple of months. So,
Yeah, I agree. I hope so too. And I thank you so much for the opportunity.
well, it's really good. So any parting thoughts for our, we call people that listen to this Screwballs.
Right.
so about budgeting.
Yeah. My parting thought would be that just remember money is a tool. You can have anything you want if you apply the right mindset. And that's what budgeting is. It's a mindset. When you control your money, you control your life.
Wow, very powerful from the person driving down the OC with blindfold on.
Yeah, just don't meet me on the road. You might be
Right.
scared.
No, you got to let us know when you're on the road too. Also, well, thanks so much, Bobbi. Thanks to your husband for running the audio over there, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you from us both.
All right, catch you later.